Alrighty. Icky. I was a little late to my stream. Technical difficulties. How was your day going? Got more headway on your UX course? That's good. Felt like I was dying today because all of a sudden, you know, I'm on the East Coast and we've had frosty mornings and fairly cool temperatures the past while now. And then all of a sudden today, I think it was a high of like 73 or something outside. But I was still dressed for relatively cool weather, and my office decided, like the company I work at, most of the building had the AC turned on, but some of the others still had it set for heat, and the heat wasn't running because like it was set to keep the temperature, but it also was not cooling the office down. And what do you know? We have like sunroofs and stuff on that part of the building, so I was far too warm today, and it just found that's one of those things. It wasn't like I was sitting there sweating at my desk, but I was like warm enough that it made me really tired, and I wanted to take a nap all day long. And part of me was like, man, I really want to take a nap when I get home. But then I was like, if I lay down and sleep, I will not sleep well tonight. That is something I just am not good at doing. So I just have to tough it out till bed, basically. Weather has made your sinuses go nuts this week. I mean, normally, yeah, I'm in that same boat. I mean, but I've already been jacked up because of this virus that I'm trying to recover from. I still got the cough. It doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. I had some medication that they gave me when I went to the doctor about this, but I'm out of it now. And there's a part of me that like once to see if I can get some more, get a refill or whatever. But even after insurance, I had to pay almost $300 for that sick visit. I'm like, you know what? I'm not that interested. So, good old American healthcare. Yeah, it was like 270 something. So, I have no idea why a sick visit was that expensive. I assume it wasn't because I had them, test for both COVID and the flu, but who knows? Medication was like $5, but yeah, I don't have the best insurance plan. But now my fiance has pretty good insurance. Once we get married, we're putting me on her insurance, and then I shouldn't have as many problems. But until then, make sure that animation time is at 0. Well, I mean, yeah, speaking of chronic conditions, I mean, I have sleep apnea. So I had to get a CPAP machine, and that cost me like $1,600 out of pocket. And that was on top of the $700 it cost me to get the sleep study done, which was a home sleep study. I didn't even sleep in a lab. And now I can barely sleep with the thing. It makes me miserable. I did fine with it at first, but and I have high blood pressure. Thankfully, the medication for that is free, but it was not free to get that discovered, of course. Ads are about to run in about 2 minutes, and I'll pause the streams when they run. Yep. Really? I can't put a comment on that? Why can't I put a comment on that? Okay, whatever. All right, ads are starting soon. Okay. We should be back from ads. Do I already have planned out the number of animations I need for the character? I mean, I have a rough idea because I know what I need for this system, but that doesn't include like any kind of cutscene animation. That doesn't include if I'm going to do any kind of facial animation. There are some systems where you can do sort of homemade motion capture, so I may look into some of that eventually, depending on where I end up budget-wise by the time I get to a point to do something like that. I mean, easily though, like way more than one would expect. I mean, so I have, and bear in mind, all these are placeholders. Now, theoretically, because of the way the licensing works on the marketplace, I could use what I'm using now in a final product and it would be fine. But it would not necessarily look unique. So just going off what I presently have for, mind you, one character, meaning it would all be identical. I have a series of base animations which cover base poses, which are effectively just single frame. Like this thing's freaking out because it's playing multiple animations, but he's not moving. They're just a base pose of crouching and standing. I also need to get a hold of a base pose for crawling. I don't have that currently. I've got some in-air poses for like falling and jumping. So then there's additional details, like if you slightly lean as you're falling. These are walking and crawling animations, or walking crouched animations, some run and sprint animations, a crawling animation, which is ideally, I'm planning to use it for like crawling into ductwork. I'm planning on some sequence where you have to crawl through some ducts and that kind of thing. There's additional animations in here for like leaning. If you run and you start to turn, you'll get a little bit of a lean. Turning in place. And then you get into things like actions, which right now just kind of consists of like getting up off the ground, mantling. There's some overlay stuff which has to do with like interacting with things, carrying things. I don't know why that didn't have a skeleton. Yeah, so here's like a pose of being injured. Here's a stance variation on being injured. So, and mind you, that's one character. Now, for any kind of like background characters that are necessary, I would probably just potentially use these placeholders, because unless they need to do something unique, it shouldn't be super necessary for them to be unique. Because like I have some intentions for having some NPCs in the beginning sequences that are outside of the main setting of the game, and you don't really interact with them so much. They would just be in the background, and they would probably just be playing placeholder animations, to be honest. But it's one of the reasons I'm hoping that eventually I can kind of subsidize costs for this kind of thing, because I'd like to look at one of those like home, I say home, but like indie level motion kits, motion capture kits, because it would make doing lots of animations quicker. I'm not going to say easier, because there's going to require a lot of cleanup. But it wouldn't have to all be hand animated, which is a whole different thing. Facial animation can be kind of handled by something called blend shapes, which it's more like you make a bunch of poses for the face, and then it kind of, the computer kind of shifts between the poses. So effectively what you would do is make a bunch of poses for like the different vowel and consonant sounds and like expressions, and then it would just kind of shift between those. But that's still something you have to sort of hand key. So I'm not sure. It also comes down to what I do in terms of if I end up with voice acting or not. I know some voice actors, I know some actors and actresses, just because I've done some indie film work stuff as well, and could potentially involve that, but then money becomes the question again. So not sure. These characters are based on ones in an indie film that I helped work on, so there is an element of wanting to potentially get the actors and actresses that originally played those specific characters involved, but none of them were, to my knowledge, experienced in voice acting, which is actually kind of a different beast. So regardless of their willingness to do it, whether or not they would be the right choice is not necessarily clear at this point. Hi, Warden. Did you ever get to play Destiny today? Well, that's good. I figured the maintenance window would end eventually. Three hours later? Yeah, well. Look, they said they extended it and we're going to provide updates in an hour. They didn't say it'd be back in an hour. We have an ad break in about 5 minutes, and I will pause when that comes along. So then that newest, what was it, Heresy came out today, so I'm assuming you were playing that. So yet another thing I'm behind on. Cool. Okay, we got ads. All right. We should be back from ads. Okay, get grounded. Break that. And set it there. I hear Discord noises. Why do I hear Discord noises? Oh. That's why. Ooh, Ursula. Okay. That should be covering most of, if not all of, the standing cycles that I need. Which then means we need to do the crouched cycles. Okay. We got a raid. Moneymaker 7 Gaming rating. Welcome in, Raiders. What were you guys playing? What were you streaming? Ah, from the small, yep, from the small streamer support. I was gonna say I didn't recognize your username. iRacing. I'm not familiar, but I don't play a lot of racing games. Well, thank you for the raid. Let's see if my shout out command will work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. Right, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do game development, and I have a solo project I'm working on that is a Silent Hill / Resident Evil inspired horror game from like the, we'll say PS2 era. And so what I'm doing presently is writing or creating the character systems for like the animation and such that will play when the character moves around. It's very early in development. But I do have some commands in chat, such as !onemanspoison, which will provide a summary of this project. Thanks for the follow. We hit our follow goal. So I just ran that command in chat and it put up the full summary. So, which is basically like a small plot summary, like without spoilers or anything. It is a long way away from completion, but especially working on it solo. Hi, Zoomers. Have you been lurking or did you just now pop in? We have an ad starting soon, by the way, but I will... I wasn't fast enough. If you didn't get an ad, I pause stream during ads so that the people who did get an ad don't miss out. So I will continue what I was saying once everybody is back from ads. I was going to skip this ad break, but I wasn't fast enough. Okay, ads just ended. I was gonna pause or skip that ad break since people had just come in, but I was not fast enough. It was starting too quickly. But where did I leave off at? Zoomers had just popped in. Yes, so this project's quite a ways away from completion, but I work on it on stream. I mean, I work on it outside of streams, but I work on it on streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays for a couple hours, and usually try to somewhat explain what I'm doing or answer questions. The goal is usually to try to encourage people to, even if they don't want to do game development, to try to get into new things, learn new skill sets, potentially, teach something if possible. It's not like a tutorial or anything, but I don't consider myself that good at any of it. The stream is great to have on while you're studying. It is what I consider like a sort of a, and I've used the tag sometimes, like a co-working, co-study kind of stream. I try to keep it is at presently kind of the same playlist, but I kind of keep a relatively consistent tone going. It could be more disruptive if people start doing redeems, because I do have point redeems for different memes and stuff that you can do through the blurb thing. So that could be more disruptive, I guess, if that became a real popular thing to do during these streams. But those have not really been used too terribly often. In fact, my mod Ambrosia is usually the only one who uses those too much when she's here. Is she lurking? No, she's not here right now. Well, I'm glad I can provide some, if nothing else, background noise when you're studying. I like to find stuff to put on in the background when I'm working on stuff outside of stream, and usually it ends up being someone else's stream. If you get curious as to what you can do in chat as far as commands go, I do have, like earlier, I ran the command for onemanspoison, which is actually in the title of the stream, and that gives the summary of this particular project. But I also have how's the development going? I'm still working on animations. I don't remember what stream you were in last. There was a stream like 2 or 3 streams ago when I had some bugs that I had to fix, and those all got fixed off stream. But you should be able to run ! Commands in chat, and that should give you a link. I have some of the commands in my panels down below, but yeah, so there's a link here to the Streamlabs portal, which should provide a list of commands that you can run, as well as there are stream avatar commands that you guys can play with your avatars on the screen. Yeah, you remember the bugs of him and the bones going to the floor? Yeah, I fixed that off stream. It turned out I had not 100% paid attention to a variable that I had set, and I was trying to set a rotation on something I shouldn't have. It took kind of way more time for me to break it down, so I'm kind of glad I fixed it off stream, because I was looking in the wrong place when I was trying to fix it on stream. But that's kind of the nature of this kind of thing, is digging through fixing problems. Oh, you redeemed Hydrate. I missed that at first. I don't have water, so I'm drinking Gatorade. I mean, I guess technically it's still hydration. It counts. kind of the color is of my of the Estus flask in my hydrate emote. I have a little Elden Ring or Dark Souls Estus flask hydrate emote. If you get super into keeping up with the game development, I'm working on putting together, I want it to be more than just a me thing, a community Discord that could be used for like resources for people who want to learn new things. Right now, the only resources I've added to it are for game development, because that's what I know, but I'm hoping to eventually open it up to other things. But outside of being a community thing for the stuff I do, looking at it being like a larger creatives community. So I have got a Discord server, and the command Discord provides the invite link to that. It also notifies when I go on stream, and it has channels in it that you can, if you select the roles when you're connecting, you can sign up to, and there's not much in them right now, but that'll be where I'll be posting other updates about this particular project. And I've also got a projects command that lists off the things I'm currently working on. Most of the time, the dev streams end up being game development, but I also sometimes do web development. Kind of depends on what I feel like sorry, very sorry about that. I should have muted. What I feel like I need to get done. It's kind of what the dev streams end up being, and then I do game streams on like Fridays, and then sometimes on weekends or other days. So that's kind of the rundown on me. Since I think you were certainly new to my stream in particular. And then I also have an about that can give you more specifics about my background and what I do. And then most of that information can be found in my panels below the stream. Yes, Streamlabs. I already talked about the Discord. Thank you very much, though. Alrighty. Hey, you know, studying's important there, Zoomers. But thanks for the lurk. I certainly had my days of studying. Especially after 2 different degrees. Amber, were your ears burning? We were talking about you earlier. Or I was. die in the dungeon. They were the spoiler. Oh no. What a tragedy. Oh, I was, Key was talking about how they, like having my stream on in the background to, like study. And I said, well, that's part of the reason I try to keep things relatively like consistent, like same music and everything. And, you know, it ends up being relatively quiet usually on these dev streams. And I said, but that may change if people start consistently doing redeems and memes and stuff with the points. I said, but so far, really the only person who likes to do those is Amber, and she's not here right now. But you also haven't been as spam happy with redeems as you have threatened to be. Don't want to disturb the chill tone of your dev streams, so they're safe from spamming sound alerts. Oh, I guarantee you they won't be safe forever. Maybe safe from you. Eventually, someone's going to spam things at me. I see you found the buffer. I swapped out one of the static, like the simply animated ones where I had just taken one of the static ones and shook it around. I swapped it out for that since I didn't have an open slot for it. That wasn't originally what I was going to do. When I initially showed it to you, I had not planned to do that, but then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I ought to. You know what's interesting? The one that I removed in order to put that one there is still showing in my emo panel, but I don't have it assigned to a slot. I'm pretty sure the vibrating the little anim raid is the one I pulled. I either pulled out anim raid or super rage. I'm pretty sure it was anim raid, but I still see it in my panel. Huh. Well, I saw that they stayed on the side of the emote screen. I'm just saying, like, when I go to choose emotes here in chat, I see it as if I could use it still. So that's where I was a little confused. I'm not gonna put a raid emote in my own chat, but Yeah, because that one's not currently... I removed one of those two little vibraty ones, but they're both still there. I don't remember which one I removed without going and looking. So, on my view at least, they're both still there, as if I could use them. I don't know if it's showing them for you. I mean, I could see maybe with me being the streamer, maybe it gives me access to all of the emotes, even if they're not assigned to a slot, possibly. Yeah, those two. I removed one of those. One of those currently, its spot is currently occupied by the buffering, the new one. That's weird. Oh, I wonder. Does Twitch, so like you sub to get emotes, right? I don't think so. I needed sub points to get more slots. But what I was just wondering, I'll go look. What I was wondering is, yeah, I don't currently have any new slots. I need 7 subscriber points to get to another standard emote slot and another animated emote slot. But what I'm wondering is, you sub to get access to emotes, right? And I'm pretty sure you still have those emotes when your sub runs out, is my experience. So maybe, does Twitch not take away emotes if they get removed? That would be weird. I would think that they would. Like, I didn't delete it out of the storage or whatever. That's so strange. We learned something. I don't know, did we? We discovered something, but I'm not sure what we actually learned. Lurking for real? Okay. We have ads in about 3 minutes. I will pause the stream when ads start. Got ads in about 45 seconds. So we'll take an ad break. Okay. I do believe we are back from ads. Alrighty. Yep, the ad break should be over for everybody. Let's see here. Hey, Other Crimson. I refuse to call you Beefcake. Maybe I'll call you Beef, but I refuse to call you Beefcake. Absolutely not going to happen. I don't need that clip existing on the internet. So the other day that I'm an indie game developer, do I have any games out at the moment that I've made? I do not. I started off as a modder. But that was like I was active maybe 15 years ago, 14 years ago, because it was all on the old like Jedi Knight games. Amber calls you Mr. Beefy. I don't know about that either. I'm not sure about that one. So I've worked on some small stuff. The only stuff that I had ever put out on the internet, unfortunately, was made in Flash a long time ago. And so it doesn't exist anymore because Flash is dead. I had to kind of take a hiatus from working on much of anything for a long time. That's also why, like, I didn't upload to my channel for like 8 years. So unfortunately, I don't have anything kicking around. I don't think. I might have some old Game Maker projects, but it was not anything I ever released. I think I made one for like a school project at one point. But yeah, because like when I was getting my associate's degree, you were able to check something out. I wish I had, and I wish I still had at least access to some of the files. Because there's probably ways I could port some of those to other languages. But the laptop that I used when I was in college at that time ended up in a car accident where it ended up underwater. So I actually lost a lot of the stuff, like the actual files from when I was in my game design courses. I have screenshots of stuff from back then. Oh yeah, definitely sucked. I was in said vehicle when it went upside down into a creek. Thankfully, it was a creek, not a river, so it was not that deep. Yes, a long time ago. But I'm glad I'm okay. Needless to say, I do not go out on the roads in the winter when there's winter weather. But that resulted in me losing a lot of the actual files. So there are screenshots. In fact, let me check something. Are there still screenshots of... Like I have a website that's fairly outdated. Like I haven't updated it with newer projects, but it's got a lot of like models and screenshots of projects that I worked on a long time ago that I don't have access to the files for anymore. Unfortunately, none of those the games I was thinking of are on there. So I need to actually update my website. Yep. Campfire crew redeem. Also got a little campfire emote that it's just one of the ones from the server. I just grabbed the one because I have a whole slew of my own emotes, and eventually I'll probably create one for Campfire that's in the same style as my existing emotes. Because, like, currently I have I'll put all of mine in chat here. So currently, these are all the different emotes in my channel. Well, so the majority of the emotes that I just posted, I hired an artist on Fiverr to make for me. But I paid to get the source files and the commercial rights to them. So one of the emotes, which is the buffering emote, it's the first one in that row, I actually created myself using the Photoshop files they sent me. I kind of mashed up some elements and added a couple things and made that one myself. I used to draw a long time ago, but being super out of practice and not being that familiar with that kind of stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hire someone to do it who does them. It is expensive to have the creative suite. I have the all apps package so that I can use that stuff. I wish they would just let you buy a permanent license. Good old Adobe. Just to use their license. Well, everything's trying to move to software as a service nowadays, unfortunately. It's a 2-part message, and it posts the other half earlier. It's supposed to be promoting the Discord. I bet they allow that, but I suspect that the actual licensing that they have with Adobe probably doesn't actually allow for that. Because, you know, Adobe with their licensing being super, super specific. If you're not caught, is it really illegal? Uh, mm, mm. No comment. Oh no, this fuel escaped you. That sucks. Got ads in about 5 minutes. Well, that explains why I probably didn't react at all. I forgot to unmute myself when we came back from ads. Starby, I see you in the chat. What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be live right now? I saw the number go up and I looked. And you're marked as a VIP, so you showed up very distinctly. Are you plotting something? Trampage. Let's see here. That's the wrong thing. Squawkabilly. Okay. Now we need my velocity, structure, and split that off into the floats. We have an ad break in about 5 minutes. All right, we need a rightward direction here. Move right. No, this is not Unity. And it's fine to ask the question. This is Unreal Engine 4. I don't use 5 just because I don't really have a need for most of the changes they've made as far as the lighting engines, and I don't need nanite. I'm not going to be doing super high detail models. You know, I'm looking at this probably having PS2 era graphics, just because that's far more realistic to accomplish. It's also kind of where my comfort level is as far as 3D modeling goes. This is basically the last version of Unreal Engine 4. It's 4.27.2. But it does have a number of plugins in it, and it has some other customizations. So it might look a little different than what you would see if someone else was using the same version. Because I do have some changes made to it. You went to school for graphic design. Which is better to begin with, Unity or Unreal? So, depending on who you ask, you're going to get different answers. I would tell you that I personally would. There's one reason I wouldn't recommend Unity, and it's because of some of the moves they've made regarding licensing. Now, they backtracked on a lot of that, but there was a bunch of stuff where they were going to screw people over on licensing. Also, I mean, when you're starting out, You can use Unity for free, and that's all fine and dandy. If you plan to make money and do licensing and stuff that you may have to use licenses for, there's a lot more cost with Unity in terms of licensing the engine for the pro editions and that kind of thing. Whereas Unreal, you just get the whole thing, and you just pay revenue if you make over a certain amount of profit. Should you sell your thing? If you choose not to sell it, you never pay anything. And if you never hit over the profit margin, then you never pay anything. It's gonna come down, I think, somewhat to hey Amber, thanks for the check-in. We're about to have an ad, so I will continue this for you, Save, after the ad, because it says ad starting soon. Okay. Everybody should be back from ads. So what I was going to get at, Save, was since you said that you had gone to school for graphic design, I'm going to assume that means you really don't have any programming experience. Now, you can work with either of the engines without any pre-existing programming knowledge. You will have some limitations on what you can do, but you could, in theory. Both engines have a visual scripting language. Unreal has blueprints, which is not quite what you see me working with here. This is kind of a blueprint, but it's specifically for animations. But it's dragging nodes together. And then Unity has something similar. I forget what they call theirs. And you could build an entire game. At least in the case of Unreal, you could build an entire game out of Blueprint if you really wanted to. There may be weird ways you have to accomplish things, but you could do it. If you were gonna need to do more advanced things, you would have to look into the coding languages, in which case you're looking at C Sharp, I believe, is what Unity mostly works in, and you have C++ for Unreal. Honestly, I used Unity real briefly a long time ago. I didn't find it as easy to use as Unreal, but that being said, some of my game design courses were in Unreal Engine 3. So I came from a background of learning Unreal, and so I was naturally going to be a little more predisposed to Unreal. So that opinion is going to be a little biased. Unity is certainly a perfectly viable engine. I have more disagreements with the company than I do with the engine. You also have other engines out there. You could look at Godot. It's completely open source and completely free. I don't know anything about it as far as how to use it. I haven't tried. But you could also look at Game Maker Studio. There is a free edition. As far as I know, there's still a free edition. And you really only have to start paying for stuff if you want to put it out on certain platforms. And it has a visual code system that you can learn to use, as well as its own coding language called GScript, I think, that you could learn. That's not too terribly difficult. And that's especially if you're planning to make a 2D game. That's the other thing, is it depends on what kind of game you're going to make. I wouldn't necessarily lock yourself into an engine. I would maybe decide what it is you want to learn to make first. Like Unreal is very heavy for a 2D game. You can certainly do 2D in Unreal, but it's kind of, in many ways, too much. Like there's kind of too much engine for it. It's going to end up with a lot bigger file sizes usually. Unity can do, 2D as well. Game Maker can pretty much, to my knowledge, only do 2D. I think I have seen cases of people doing 3D in Game Maker, but it's usually kind of limited and really complicated. So I think it's more about probably what you want to learn. And I wouldn't jump straight into like a big project. I would maybe try to replicate something simple. Try to replicate Pac-Man or something. Or Asteroids is a common one. What you could do if you want, I have a list of resources regarding like game design, game development, as far as different things you could use. They're not necessarily learning resources, but I do actually have some learning resources that I've linked off to in my Discord. There's a game dev role you can get, and I've linked in some resources in there with the hope that eventually I can get a community built and there'll be other people providing their own knowledge and their own resources for that and other skill sets, be it art or whatever. So I do have this, and when you're going through the onboarding, oh, how topical, Streamlabs. Oh no, it's replying to my command. Never mind. I thought it put up the secondary message. When you're doing the onboarding, if you choose the game dev interest, it will assign the role and you'll find the channel down there. And I have a channel with a bunch of things linked, and I'll gradually update that as I come across other things. When I was going to school, we did mostly HTML, CSS, JavaScript, JSON, did ActionScript 3 before that was phased out. Yeah, I mean, you could work in web languages for games. HTML5 is certainly something that can do games. I think Game Maker in particular is capable of exporting to browser games still, and I think Unity can. Unreal used to be able to do it. but you would have to go back to a pretty old version. I don't know exactly why they removed it. I think it was a rendering thing. One of the resources that's linked in my Discord is roadmap.shish. So what roadmap.sh is, and I'll go ahead and link it here, but you can get that link in my Discord. Roadmap.sh is basically a website that can kind of lead you through courses to learn different things. Literally, there is like a game developer section you could click on, and it kind of teaches you or gives you a roadmap of the things you would need to learn potentially to do those types of things, especially based on what specific branch or discipline you want to get involved in. Game developer as a term is pretty generic. But there are a slew of languages. I believe there are potentially even listings for no, it doesn't. I don't see listings for any specific game engines right off the top of my list here. But that's one thing you could use. Yeah. So I have some other links like that in my Discord that have some resources like that, and I'm gradually listing more stuff as I get in there. And that I'm wanting to build like a community of people that can share resources like that, because some people may know of things that I don't, and not just around game dev, but around other stuff too. But right now, it's game dev because that's what I know. Yeah, so you joined it. So if you find the when you go through the onboarding, if you select game dev, you should find that there's now a game dev category available to you in channels, and there's a game dev resources, and I have a list of various tools that you could, or resources that you can use. So, because yeah, I mean, there are people online that kind of inspired me to do this kind of stuff. There are others, game dev streamers that have inspired me to do this kind of stuff. And I want to make sure I can kind of do the same thing and pass that on, even if it's not game dev, even if it's, some other form of programming, even if it's art. I'm not going to take any credit for it, but I know that he, if they are still in chat, uses these streams as background when they're studying their UI UX, which is user interface, user experience. That had nothing to do with me, but this is their background audio for that kind of. So he had mods for Skyrim and some other games. He might be interested in this. Did mods. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I did mods for Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, and Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy back in the day. Long time ago. as well as mods for Knights of the Old Republic. They were characters, pretty much, just character models and some weapon models. But that's kind of how I got my initial start and kind of got inspired to do this kind of stuff. And then I was, they're still kind of, I'm gonna say inactive. I don't know how active they are now. I'm not really involved. A community for the Jedi Knight games called JK Hub. And then I was a moderator and an admin there for years. After because everything used to be on a site called Filefront. And then once that collapsed, they broke off and sort of did their own thing. And we all kind of migrated there. And that's actually the thing. Some of my stuff is still listed there. Again, they're character models. They're not games or anything. And they're really old. Like you're talking 15 years old before I even went to school for any of this stuff. Their upload dates would be newer than that, but let's see. Should be this, and yeah, I think this will be it. So this is actually a link. It shows character models that I have posted on that website for the Jedi Knight games. And they're very, very old. When did I start learning how to mod? So see, those were updated in 2012, which isn't even when they came out. That was when they were brought to this website. I wonder if the original readmes are still in the files. That's the trick, right? Because I'm not sure. I would have to go back. It would have been some of those files would have been created maybe 2008, 2009. Probably older than that, actually. Yeah, there's an Inuyasha model. I had to figure out a way to do cell shading in that engine to do that one. Which basically meant in order to create the black outline, I had to do what I think they did in the original Wind Waker game, which is basically duplicate the model, explode it out a little bit so it's slightly bigger, invert all the faces and make them one-sided, and then make them solid black. That's not quite what I did, but it's kind of what I did. But yeah, that's all really old stuff. So some of that stuff's probably like 2008, maybe even older, because I would have been starting my associate's degree in 2009, and all that stuff predates that. Some of those same files are here. That was another site that has some of my KOTOR, which were just retextures. I don't think I have any of the models anymore for any of the KOTOR things I made. But again, all that stuff would have been like 2008 probably. Because those upload dates were 2009 or 2011. Date, okay. The date released on some of these was 2008. I found the readmes on that Inuyasha model was made in 2008. So that ModDB site has the original readmes. So it's definitely been a long time. Okay, we've been going for about 3 hours. And Starby. Yeah, well, that's kind of topical. I've been going about 3 hours and you've redeemed Stretch. I wondered when you were going to do something. I saw you in my chat periodically, or in the viewers. You were live earlier. What were you doing in my chat? You've been waiting. What were you waiting for? I tried to call you out earlier. Who can say? Because when I first spotted you, I saw the number go up and I looked and I saw you and you were still actively live. And I said, what are you doing in here? What are you plotting? Multitask master? Well, you weren't multitasking too well because you were ignoring anything I was saying to you. Or you were doing that intentionally, but can't prove that either way. You could just claim you were ignoring me. So, yeah, oop. Because I said, you know, what are you doing? And you know, you're supposed to be streaming. What are you doing in here? So... I'm going to snooze this ad break that they want to have happen. Could not hear over the sounds of you losing. I saw you were playing Overwatch. So you didn't do well? You and Save had rough ones today. Are you guys playing Overwatch as well? Thoroughly humbled, huh? Well, I guess as a continuation, because I think Save was present in your stream when it was initially discussed, but I guess the sort of I mean, again, this is all extremely early and in process. There have been discussions of you doing the music for this game. We haven't negotiated anything yet, but we've had some discussions of it. Yes, Key, music. Starby does music. And surprisingly, despite Starby's brand being very bright and colorful and pastel, the music is not so much. There's nothing been made yet, but it was discussed initially during one of their streams, and then we have talked about it a little further since. Long way away, because I mean, I gotta get gameplay working first. Waiting so patiently. Apparently, we don't know all of Starby's talents. I mentioned the word game jam, and it went on a whole tangent about music and composer. So I mean, I only recently learned that Amber can draw. So she's hiding talents too. I told y'all, this is why I'm trying to build a community that will support each other in creative endeavors and help each other learn new things. That's the whole point of my Discord. It only really has a couple people in it and resources for game dev. Exposing you. You exposed yourself, like, technically speaking. Your artwork is technically public. You just don't advertise it. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. I was looking to see who we should who we should raid. Well, I was thinking of I was gonna raid a friend of mine and Amber's from our campfire Discord. Oh, thanks for the sub, Save. I guess you get
Save that always has just subscribed on Twitch.
There goes TTS. Yeah, there actually is TTS. Like, no one's ever hearing it, but there is. You can actually redeem TTS stuff. I don't think you knew that, Amber. I don't know, or you don't think you realized it. That might be dangerous that I have revealed that. Oh, and we got a gifted
has
sub.
Just subscribed on Twitch.
Oh, and Key got it. You can't wait for game night. I will say, doing this. Wait. Starby, no. No.
Shining Starby has gifted 5 subs to viewers.
I was suspicious. I was suspicious. Thank you, Starby. Oops, hand slipped. So, for many of you, I think Save is probably the only other one that was present for it. I, on one of Starby's streams, bullied them with bits. Yep.
Generation Zoomer cheered Dex 100.
Oh, that was Zoomers. Okay. I was bullying Starby with bits. And then the more she called me down for it, and I proceeded to cheer more bits. So the moment she said she's been waiting, I was suspicious as to what she was up to. Payback. We hit hype level 3 just now. It looks like we've unlocked some emotes. That is the first hype train on this channel ever. And it was done out of spite, I think. It was a revenge hype train. Because I hype trained her. That's crazy. I knew she was up to something. I knew they were up to something. That's true. You subbed out of spite just to get the bonus points. I should point out too, by the way, Amber, that I'm gonna snooze. Hang on, I'm gonna snooze this ad again. Although I suspect at this point there's probably enough subs going around that most of you wouldn't have ads. That the blurbs, I made sure to make the blurbs cost a lot more point. Not the blurb TTSs cost a lot more points. You're not going to be able to spam TTS at me. Not with points. I've made sure of that one. Just you wait. I made sure that like all the TTS stuff is at least over 1,000. Because TTS could be potentially problematic. Did we actually? Yeah, I guess we did unlock emotes. Okay. That's crazy that we hit hype level 3. Man, I was planning to end the stream and now that kind of feels rude. Y'all are all crazy. Ridiculousness. Now here's the question. Were you and Starby plotting on this together? Oh, hype train's ending. Who can tell? You absolutely were then. Moving to the just chatting category. Let's open this hype chest. We got a teddy bear emote, it looks like. I'll update the category. At least if we're going to sit here and chat for a bit. So yes, hype chests are on the way. So, well, yeah. So now you, a bunch of you have access to my emotes. Those same emotes are also in Discord. If you happen to have Nitro, you can use them on other servers. So what was I working on today's stream? So I was working more on character animation stuff. So he doesn't play any of the animations unless I'm like specifically previewing one. But basically there are systems in here that determine what animations play when the character is going to be walking around. Not something that the character does right now. But it's to make it where the character will transition between like crouching and standing and running and sprinting, and it won't be like a jarring jump between poses. It'll be smooth because it'll be based on like the character's momentum and the direction they're moving. And so I'm having to this is a very slow process. But I kind of have to do this part first before I can start working on the actual character controls, like where we can actually run around as the character. the good news is once I get kind of past this part, we can do a lot of stuff as far as like mechanics for the character itself. So I'm handling systems for a lot of these animations, different actions and stuff. And these are all like placeholder animations. I didn't make any of these animations. So it's only a few frames, so it looks like he's spazzing out, but like this is just some overlay stuff. Like this isn't a full animation. This is just some overlay data that would alter the character's stance to show that he's injured. And that would be handled here. But right now, I only have the default state. So eventually there's going to be like an injured state. I'm actually planning on a couple different injured states for like different tiers of being injured. So that his animations sort of change progressively more the more injured that they are. We hit the sub goal, which means I think we also unlocked more emote slots tonight. We did. I don't have more emotes right at the moment. I guess I'll have to make 2 additional emotes. But y'all hit the goal, the sub goal. So we do have room for more emotes now. So that was absolutely crazy. We're about to hit an ad break that I can no longer skip. I think the majority of you won't get one because of that, but I think before we end up hitting our ad, yeah, and I think everybody's probably ready to head out. I was gonna have us raid out to Warden, who's a friend of the stream and a friend of Campfire, and the S'more Scouts that I'm a part of, the stream team I'm a part of. They're playing Phasmophobia, so you guys that just unlock, even if you want to head out, why don't we stick in for the raid? Because so many of you just unlocked the raid emotes that we can use raid emotes and raid him. If you need to raid and run, we can. You can. So ready? All right. Looks like everybody's ready. So here we go. Good night, everybody.